The Empire had grown too proud. For years it ruled the stars with power and fear. When it looked at Earth, it saw a weak and quiet world, a place easy to crush. So, the Empire sent a message, not with words, but with fire. They destroyed Colony, Vega, one of humanity's oldest settlements, millions gone in seconds. The Empire expected silence, but they didn't know about Commander Ryan Kane. He stood alone, watching the fire in the sky. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just whispered to himself, "So this is how they want it." Ryan had once served as a hero in Earth's Space Command, but after losing his family to the Empire's lies, he vanished. Many believed he was dead. They were wrong. The Empire thought it ended the war before it began, but Ryan had spent years building something in the dark. A plan, a weapon, a way to strike back. Now he moved through deep space, silent and focused. No army, no backup, just a single man with a mission. He didn't want peace, he didn't want power. He wanted the Empire to feel fear. In a hidden base, alarms screamed. A single ship had entered restricted space. One Empire officer looked at the screen, confused. "That's not one of ours," he said. Then the screen went black. Ryan Kane had made his first move, and the Empire had just made its biggest mistake. A strange silence had spread across the Empire's outer systems. One of their supply stations had gone completely dark. No signal, no distress call, nothing. At first they thought it was a system error. Then another station vanished, and another. Quietly, quickly, without warning. The Empire's leaders sat in silence, their screens flashing with missing data. All signs pointed to one name: Ryan Kane. They still didn't understand how one human could cause so much trouble. But Kane wasn't just attacking. He was sending a message. Every move had purpose, every target mattered. He wasn't chasing power. He was building something larger, something the Empire couldn't see yet. In the deep cold of space, Kane's ship moved like a shadow. He had no fleet, but he had knowledge. He knew where the Empire stored its most secret technology. He knew the cracks in their systems. And he knew how to move without being seen. One officer tried to intercept him. She opened a channel and demanded his surrender. Kane answered calmly, "I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to remind you what fear feels like." Then her ship lost power. No weapons, no communication, just silence. Back at Central Command, generals argued. Some wanted to send the full fleet after him. Others warned it was already too late. A young technician whispered, "He's not fighting like a soldier. He's thinking like a ghost." And somewhere far away, Kane set course for his next target. He was never running. He was drawing the Empire in, one move at a time. Whispers began to spread across the stars, about a man who moved through the Empire like a shadow, unseen but never unfelt. His name became a question, a warning, and then a legend. But the truth behind Ryan Kane was more than just tactics and strategy. Long before he became a ghost in the dark, he was something else: a leader, a protector, a man who believed in peace. He had once stood proudly in Earth's command hall, leading missions of hope and rebuilding. But after the loss of his family during an Empire peace patrol, something inside him changed. He didn't disappear. He prepared. Years before the first colony fell, Kane had already started building. Not weapons of war, but tools of silence, precision, and control. Deep in the asteroid fields beyond the known charts, he created a base, hidden from scanners. There, machines answered only to him, quiet, loyal, and waiting. He studied the Empire's systems, their habits, their blind spots. He watched as they grew too confident, too slow. And then, when the time came, he returned. Now, as the Empire searched in panic, Kane's true plan began to unfold. A scout ship drifted into the wrong sector and found something no one was meant to see. An entire field of drones, resting like sleeping giants in the dark. No sound, no lights, just silence, until one of them opened its eyes. The scout's final message was only 3 words: "He is ready." In every corner of the Empire, fear quietly replaced pride, not because they saw Kane, but because they couldn't. In the Empire's control rooms, the tension was heavy. Every high-ranking officer was watching a growing pattern they could no longer ignore. One man striking at their weakest points, with perfect timing, and then vanishing without a trace. It wasn't chaos. It was design. Precise. Intentional. Across the outer systems, old transmission beacons flickered to life. Kane's voice echoed through secure frequencies. He never shouted. He never threatened. He simply said, "I'm not here to destroy, I'm here to reveal." And that message shook the Empire more than any weapon ever could. No one knew where he would appear next, but he had already made his way into the heart of their infrastructure. A stolen ship from their own fleet drifted into dock at a central logistics hub. No one questioned it. It looked like it belonged there, but it didn't. Inside, Kane had left nothing behind but a looped message and a trail that led deeper into Empire space. The hub went dark hours later. No alarms, no fights, just silence and confusion. The Empire's leaders ordered full scans of their systems. What they found was worse than they expected. Their communication lines were being traced. Their patrol patterns exposed. It was as if someone had studied them for years. Someone who knew what they'd do before they did it. Then came the reports from the outer colonies. Citizens were starting to ask questions. Some even began speaking his name. Not in fear, in hope. A junior officer leaned toward her commander and whispered, "We keep calling him the enemy. But what if he's showing us the truth?" Far beyond those stars, Ryan Kane sat in his ship, reading their patterns, planning the next step. He didn't need a fleet. He didn't need noise. All he needed was time, and the Empire was giving it. To him, without knowing. The stars were still, but the Empire was not. Across the central systems, stations flickered on and off, like lights struggling against a rising storm. Engineers worked in silence, unsure whether the failures were technical or something else. The truth was more unsettling. The systems weren't breaking. They were being turned off, one by one, from the inside. No alarms, no invasions, just silence. And then across hundreds of Empire screens, a strange symbol appeared, a mark no one recognized, except the High Command. It was a personal code once used by Ryan Kane when he served the Earth Alliance. A signal long thought dead, buried, with a man they had once called a hero, but now it had returned. And with it, everything changed. In secret, Kane had breached the Empire's most trusted system. The Core Net, a communication web that connected every world, station, and outpost. He didn't destroy it. He used it. Quietly, he rerouted messages, delayed commands, and reshaped information. The Empire's hand no longer controlled its fingers. At first, only a few noticed. Then entire planets lost connection. Supplies stopped arriving. Orders never came. Local governors were left in confusion. Panic turned to doubt. And doubt was the one thing the Empire could not afford. Even worse, whispers were growing louder. Civilians on distant moons and trading stations had started retelling stories, not from Kane, but about him. A man who struck without hate. A voice that spoke truth. Some called him a myth. Others a warning, but many were beginning to wonder if he was something more. On a quiet planet near the Empire's edge, a crowd gathered around a stolen signal. It was Kane, speaking simply. "They told you everything was perfect. I'm only showing you the cracks." And in the shadows of their broken systems, a movement quietly began. Not built with weapons, but with questions. A strange calm settled over the galaxy. Not peace, something else. The kind of silence that comes before a truth too large to ignore. The Empire's leaders sat in their command chambers, but their screens were dark. Their ships weren't answering. Their systems weren't responding. It was as if the galaxy itself had turned away from them. Then, slowly, a single broadcast reached every Empire world. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't a threat. It was a memory. Footage played from hidden cameras, old records, files that were never meant to be seen. Videos of silenced colonies, unfair trials, broken promises, and lives quietly lost under the name of order. And at the center of it all, the crest of the Empire shining over every forgotten voice. The people watched in silence. On planet after planet, those once loyal now stared at the screens with wide eyes. Many had believed the Empire brought peace, but now they were seeing what that peace had cost. Ryan Kane didn't speak right away. He waited. And then, only when the final video ended, his voice echoed through the stars. You were told we vanished. That we were too weak to stand, but we never disappeared. We watched, we remembered, and now we return, not with rage, but with truth. There was no army, no demand, just one man, reminding the galaxy that silence isn't the same as surrender. Across the Empire, small groups began to rise, not with weapons, but with questions and courage. The system that once seemed unbreakable was now crumbling from within. And Ryan Kane, he didn't stay to rule. He didn't wait for praise. His ship drifted back into the dark, just as quietly as it had come. Because for him, the mission was never revenge. It was to make sure they never forgot who started it, and who finally ended the silence.